I'm really want to see something beautiful, which is very hard to find. Since I was a child, something pushing me to think what I want to see, why I'm living, something like that. And then I found the best way to be a photographer. So it's very helpful to me to survive in the world.
Hi there. Rinko Kawauchi is a Japanese photographer who produces images that are serene, poetic, and depict the ordinary moments in life. They often involve brilliant, gleaming light that gives them a dreamlike quality. She seems to take pictures from the perspective of a young girl who spent too much time daydreaming and being transfixed by the small wonders that she finds in nature. Her images depict the fragility of beauty, nature, and life. But beneath the attractiveness of these photographs lies a deep vein of melancholy. On one level, her images are alluring because they immediately provide the viewers with a sensory experience. Her color palette is often soft. She playfully allows seemingly unrelated images to interact with each other. And one gets a sense that some overriding philosophy holds the images together.
自分の作品の場合は常に一枚で見せるというよりは複数枚の写真で一つの世界を作っていくっていう構成の仕方をしているので、いつも作品を作り始める前に今自分が一番何を気になっているのかどういった被写体に興味があるのかっていうことを、自分に問いかけてみてその中で理由がわからないけれども直感的に例えば
We are being offered a mystery that doesn't need to be solved, something that is probably similar to a Buddhist koan. In her work, she's open to whatever crosses her path, taking pictures and trusting that in the later editing stages, she will gauge her emotional response to what she's done. If an image is unexpected and has a charge, then she will incorporate it into her wider vision for a project. The broad link or umbrella theme in her work is that the photographs all reveal some aspect of her unconscious world. This is what inspires and motivates her.
だからよく言われてるけど自分たちの意識っていうのは本当に氷山の一角しか見えてなくてこの下の意識っていうものの方がすごくものすごい広さがあるっていう言われてますけど自分はそこの見えてない部分の世界っていうものにものすごい興味があって。
She incorporates the idea that one's memory could in some way be merged with everyone else's, and that perhaps her own memories are shaped by those of others. In Western terms, the collective unconscious is a Jungian concept, but perhaps she also draws on much older teachings from Eastern religions. Kawauchi is reaching into this reservoir of knowing and knowledge that is common across humankind. When viewing her work, it's useful to hold this foundation in mind. One is able to move beyond the surface connections and experience the images as a stream flowing from the unconscious. The space she occupies when photographing is difficult to define and to hold on to. She's trying to capture something by not seeing. She doesn't want her images to come from the linear process of seeing, thinking, then capturing. She aims to maintain a connection with life and the spaces around her in a way that preserves the subjects as ambiguous or intangible. She sees her life's purpose as a challenge to engage with this enigmatic space.
それを実際に見えてる世界を映すことによってトライするっていうことは非常に矛盾があるというか限界があると思うんですけど、でもその限界っていうものに試すっていうか挑戦するっていうのが自分が人間の体を持って生まれてきた一つの理由なのかなと思うんですよ。
I think the depth of engagement with her process is reflected in how viewers continue to find layered meaning in her work. During the past decade, many photo books have been churned out by publishers showing clever juxtapositions of unrelated images. Most of these publications lead me to have a similar response to chewing gum. Once the initial taste disappears, one's left with very little and it's easy to get bored. Her work, on the other hand, seems to offer the opportunity for ongoing engagement. Like all good photography that is sustaining, the impact is directly linked to the photographer's intent and depth of involvement with the subject matter. If, as a photographer, one just pursued clever, funky pictures that link purely on a surface level, then the whole process would be boring in a very short period of time. Kawauchi, on the other hand, is approaching a practice with a Shinto ethos in mind. All things on earth have a spirit, therefore all subjects, however small or mundane, deserve our attention. Shinto is the indigenous religion of Japan and predates written records. The literal translation of the word Shinto is the way of the spirits or deities. Her work has often been superficially compared to that of Wolfgang Tillmans. At a brief glance, one might think that their approaches are similar, but their intents are worlds apart. Tillman's work emerges from postmodern ideas that assert that all truth and consequently all notions of beauty are constructed by society. So his exhibitions and books become political demonstrations of visual equivalence. Kawauchi's work similarly exhibits a unity of all things, but her source is reverence rather than nihilism. For her, nature is where she goes to discover beautiful things. By photographing, she's reminded again and again not to take these offerings for granted. As her engagement deepens the interaction, she becomes immersed in the moment, similar to a heightened meditation.
自分が多分今生きてるということにすごくこう納得したいというか、そういうふうに思わせてくれる瞬間がやっぱりこう見れるから、だから面倒くさくても写真を撮りに行ったりするんでしょうね、きっと。そう、自分がそのすごい集中した状態になるっていうことはある自分の無意識とつながっていると思うんですよね。
It's in this state of heightened focus that she becomes free enough to connect with the unconscious. She has learnt over time to develop this state of awareness in a similar way to how athletes learn to enter what they call the zone, a state in which they are totally absorbed in achieving their goal. How she edits and sequences her pictures then becomes another process of messaging through meaning.
To live a moment is very difficult way. Just I want to try. Usually we are thinking past and future worry about things, worry about future and regret about our past. So, but it's ridiculous. Yeah. Sometimes it's waste of time. I want to live on a moment, but very difficult. I always worry about my future. Yeah. But when I have shooting, I don't think about my past and my future. I just concentrate on shooting. It's very nice. World and me and together. I forgot my body. I'm existing. It's one of biggest pleasure of my life.
Kawauchi is drawn to everyday scenes and objects. These are the things that she's most familiar with in her daily experience. They're her point of contact with reality. What is personal for her becomes relatable to the viewer because the subject matter is so familiar. Although form is an important element in her work, her photographs often convey ideas of time, its passing and the memories that remain. Words in the form of poetry and novels are a constant source of inspiration for her. In her work, she replicates the rhythms of words. Her placement of seemingly contradictory visual subjects next to each other creates space or pause, in a similar manner to the pauses created between different words within texts.
この本とこことここの間のこれが1枚じゃなくて2枚になることによってそれがページになっていくことによってだんだんこう広がりが出てくるんですよ。そういったものをこういった詩のテキストとテキストの行間とかテキストとテキストのつながりからインスピレーションを受けてるっていうか全然違う言葉同士が組み合わさることによって
In both cases, an emotional charge creates something entirely new. She also draws on dreams to access her unconscious. In one of her earlier projects called Yedatani, she explores how to express the state of being between sleep and wakefulness. This project exposes viewers to various liminal states. Through her work, she's also explored religious ceremonies and rituals that integrate the cycles of life, reflecting time and impermanence. For this book, Amatsaki, she traveled to Japan's Mount Aso, a sacred site for a Shinto ritual called Noyaki. The practice dates back about 1300 years and involves farmland being burnt on a yearly basis to maintain its sustainability. She sees this cycle or repetition within human practices as another way in which we become conscious of time. She has returned repeatedly to themes that are important to her, and in the same manner in which a spiral broadens, each time she returns to a subject, she engages deeper and differently. Kawauchi's sequences of images often resemble fragments of written poetry. The aesthetic concept is known as wabi-sabi. This philosophy involves simplification, humility, and a harmonious relationship with nature. It allows space for mistakes that can enrich the process. When she applies this philosophy to her photography, her goal isn't the perfect image. She's not looking for a slick graphic photograph. Rather, she's aiming for layered meaning, and it's through this process that she discovers beauty. Kawauchi has maintained a high level of consistency in her work. One doesn't get the impression that she's in a great hurry to produce the next photo book or next exhibition. Her engagement with the subject seems genuine and rich. She offers us an opportunity to discover a depth of meaning within ordinary experiences of life. We are usually too busy to look, but her work suggests that the magic actually does exist. We just have to take the time to see it. I hope you enjoyed that work, and I'll see you next time.
I think you'll see that even though the subject has changed, you can see the same unique voice. The great thing about a photographer, when they find the voice which is so distinctive, you can always tell their work almost by looking at it. Her images are very different to anyone else's I've seen. She's really a one-off and therefore quite extraordinary and quite deserving.
もっと美しい環境を守っていきたいし、大人たちがそれを見せなくてはいけないっていうことをどんな国に住んでてもその思いを一緒に新たにしていきたいなっていうふうに思っているので、私のそういった思いが